Welcome back to the High Performance Herd. We're pleased to have today joining us Jeremiah Weekley. He's the president of Fabrication Solutions and Technology. We had a talk earlier, and exciting story, neat story. Jeremiah is a humble, grounded, awesome leader, and has clearly built a high performing team at FST. So I always start with Jeremiah. What drew you to leadership? What made you look and go, man, I know I can do something bigger than myself, and kind of was the early attraction to leadership and taking on kind of the entrepreneurial journey that you embarked upon?
It's probably a combination, David, of something inherent, maybe from birth, maybe a little after, of wanting to do things my way, not always wanting to do things other people's way. I like to create my own rules. I always thought I could do it better, and not really in an arrogant way. I just really felt like if you really commit to something and you're seeking excellence, you can always improve. And that was pretty early with me. Now, I could have improved my behavior in school, I'm sure. Wasn't always a rule follower, but I did like making my own path, always have.
Awesome. And if you give the audience kind of the short version of career path to FST, what kind of steps along the way? How did you find your way there? What career progression or history got you to FST?
Yeah, well, I had to go to work ultimately because I had a son on the way, right out of high school. Big wake up call. So while all my friends are going off to college to get their degrees, which I thought I would do, I'm faced with a choice of, do I do this and let someone else take care of my responsibility, or do I go to work and take care of my own responsibility? So I went to work. My first position was Tyco Valves and Controls, which that name might ring a bell. It's way back in the day. Tyco was a huge company. I came in as a delivery driver, basically, industrial valves for chemical plants, offshore oil rigs, things like that. Worked my way up to warehouse manager and got trained in some sales, which I really loved. I had a good mentor there, Philip Hadley, who kind of took me under his wing and taught me the sales side too. Even when I wasn't there in an official capacity, I just wanted to learn. I wanted to be better. And I got involved in that and the relationship side of it. Well, Tyco, as most of you who are familiar with business and stock exchange, had a pretty catastrophic downfall. I was there. They closed the location. I was offered to move to Baton Rouge or to Atlanta for very little money, and I had a son at home. So it wasn't an option for me.
Can I
Um,
interject for a second, Jeremiah? I'm curious.
sure.
You talked about like, hey, I didn't love school, didn't perform well there. Yet as soon as you transition to the workplace, you're like, I love learning. I love and if you reflect on what was different,
Well, the thing about school, I did love some things of school. The problem with me was if I was into it, I loved it and I would
got it,
excel. If I was not interested, it just, I couldn't do it. I couldn't fake it.
got it. Thank you. So continue. Sorry for the interruption. I just had to pipe in there.
Yeah. So out of desperation, I tried selling cars. It was awful. I hated myself. I hated my life. It was the type of dealership where, as a sales guy, you're really just a pest. You have no control. You don't, they give you the words to say, basically, tell you what to agree to, but they control it all. So they really make you a liar. And I can't deal with that. Like, I'm not going to look people in the eye and get them to trust me and then change the game. So I did that for 6 weeks and I couldn't live with
Mm.
myself. And I said, I don't have anywhere else to go, but I cannot do this. So I resigned, and the sales manager said, Jeremiah, you've done really well. Look how many other young guys have come in and they've turned over and they haven't made it. You've sold several vehicles. We'd really like to keep you. I said, I'm sorry, but there's not enough vehicles here to sell for me to feel okay doing this. Like, I can't do it. So there was a period of time where I was stuck at home doing a lot of praying, wondering what I was going to do with my life and how I was going to take care of my responsibilities. And I went to work for a wholesale flooring distributor called BPI, which was Building Plastics Incorporated. And they had some of the names like Bruce, Mannington, some of the bigger names in flooring, and had an excellent boss and basically two ladies that took me in and kind of mothered me at that point in my life. They gave me some autonomy because my dad was a carpenter. So I had a lot of experience in that realm and I could relate to the carpet and the flooring installers. So they gave me a little room to build up the supply side. I could order tools, I could sell them at our cost. So I built up that little corner and really jumped the volume up enough to get noticed by corporate, had good relationships. And the only way I was able to survive financially is they would allow me to buy at cost and sell on the side as long as it didn't directly undercut one of our clients. So some of these relationships would buy from me to install on weekends, and that extra money was the only way I survived. And I worked on weekends with my dad on carpenter jobs just to make ends meet. I was driving 50 miles one way in my little Ford Ranger, which was a lot for 12.50 an hour, but you do what you got to do.
Yeah. So you moved from
So
there to where?
I did. I started looking just anywhere closer to home so I wasn't driving so much. And answered an ad in the paper, basically. That's how long ago it was. And it said Eagle bending machines. And I said, you know, what's a bending machine? My whole life, have I been wrong? And vending machines are really bending machines? What could that be? And I
Uh,
kept seeing this missed call. And finally, I got a message and I called the guy back. He was the owner. And, you know, he wanted to come in, do an interview. I got the job as inside sales. I think, as I told you earlier, my first salary was like $20,000 a year plus commission. Well, commission, he said, don't expect that for a year. So, of course, I'm still working on the side because that's like starving money. Even then, was not enough really to make ends meet. So I have to work on the side some. But I go to work there, and within the first 8 months, I'm out selling all the guys that have been there. And I go talk to the boss and I say, look, I understand you said about a year on commission, but I'm outselling all the guys in numbers, and I think it's fair that we take care of that. He said, well, you know, we'll talk about it. And he gave me this commission structure that was next to impossible. But he did agree to it. So I continue to sell really well, but based on this structure, I'd always miss it by like 1 unit. So I go back to the guy and I'm like, look, I get it. We did have an agreement. However, based on my numbers, I'm outperforming in volume and profits, everything. So I would like the commission. And you know, in fairness to him, he did back pay some commission. So he caught me up. Um, you know, I really looked at him as a mentor, um, teaching me in the industry. Long term, I worked there for a decade and worked my way up to director of sales and marketing.
mm.
He ended up teaching me a lot about the business. I owe him that. He taught me a lot about who I wanted to be, and he taught me a lot about who I don't want to be.
And expand upon that a little bit, particularly the part who you don't want to be.
Well, you know, whenever I've always been in leadership positions, whether it was my little lawn business in high school or some side hustle or way to make money, I want to take care of people. If I'm not winning for the people that are helping me, I'm not satisfied, and I'm still that way. So it's not just about me. There has to be something bigger that we're driving for. And he was not a people person. You know, and I get it. He's worked hard. He's taken risk. He's been through some hard things. I understand it more now and have some more grace for it. But he just didn't value his people. They weren't treated well. They weren't treated with respect. And it was just not something I could do. So I really pushed for a culture change, tried to push to take care of all employees, not just me, to improve things, to give them things that I knew they would value and help build some loyalty and some trust so they would perform better.
Yeah.
And I always met a brick wall there.
Mm. So you leave there.
I leave there because oil and gas was very good. So all of a sudden I find myself, I've done well in this industry. People are picking me up in private jets. They're taking me to look at my equipment. They're buying from me. They're shaking my hand, looking me in the eye on their jet, and it's $1 million plus deals. And I had this gentleman from Center, Texas, who became my business mentor, and he came to a trade show in FabTech, and he says, "You know, I'm going to buy one of your systems, but I want you with it." And I say, What do you mean you want me with it?" He said, "I want you to come run my company." I said, "Sir, I can't run your company. I'm not a fabricator. I just sell equipment. You need somebody that knows how to make tanks and vessels." And he said, you might be right, but I'm a person that reads people and I invest in people and I think you've got what it takes. So I
Mm,
want you to call me and come work for me. Well, I thought there was a part of me, remember, I'm still young, inexperienced. It kind of rubbed me like, hey, he's just this rich Texas guy that thinks he can buy me. So I kind of brush it off. No way. The next year, we're at another trade show. This will be FabTech, our big industry trade show. And I hear this voice say, Jeremiah, you're still here? And I looked, I said, Terry. His name was Terry Bailey. And I said, man, how are you doing? He said, you never called me. I said, because you didn't need me. You need somebody that makes tanks and vessels. He said, what'd I tell you about that? He said, after this show, I want you to call me. Let's talk. Come see me. I'm going to buy a piece of equipment from you so your trip won't be for nothing. I want to talk to you some. So I drove out to Center, Texas, sold him a plate roll, and I get to spend the entire day with this guy who's got all these businesses and he's got two phones. They're going off nonstop and he's driving me around. And I remember some distinct things about that first meeting. One is we're going through a stop sign, a four-way stop, and there's this other vehicle coming, an SUV, and these kids are hanging out and they're waving wildly. And he's their grandfather. And he stops and he talks to them all, and he's so gracious and he takes his time. It's like he just turned into a different person. You could tell his world revolved around that family.
yeah, it's awesome.
So we look at his companies. He tells me, "Hey, I'm gonna make you an offer. Let's build this tank shop." Well, for about a year after that, we put plans together. South Texas was hot then. We were looking at building a shop, buying some equipment. In the end, we didn't end up doing anything, but he brought me back to the fold when he was going to Midland, Texas. He said, "Hey, I'm going to pick you up, fly you with me." I had my family at a spring break in New Orleans, and we're going to go out to Midland and talk to this guy I'm going to partner with on a tank and vessel shop. So I go, we fly out on their King Air, which again, all of a sudden I'm in this world. I mean, I grew up in a 2-bedroom trailer. So here I am flying with people on planes, jets. It's just wild to me. And I keep asking myself, like, what do they see in me and why do they want me to help them? Well, Terry told me, he said, Jeremiah, the thing is you get something we don't. You go into shops all the time. You're not just a salesman. Look, ask questions, learn about things that aren't in your scope. And the more you learn, the more valuable you're going to be for everybody because you get to see how everybody does it. And I really did. I started asking people, where do you get your steel? How much do you pay for it? Where do you get this component? Who's the best for this? And I started gaining this knowledge so I could talk like I knew the business from this information I picked up, which did make me more valuable. People trusted me. They bought more from me. So we're sitting in Midland Airport, meeting with another guy who flies in on his jet. And we go through the meeting, and this other gentleman stopped me and he said, Jeremiah, I'm buying 2 of your systems, but I want you. So I want you to come to lunch with us. And, I get in the back of this King Ranch truck. We go to a Mexican restaurant because it is Midland, Texas. And they talk and they say, okay, what's it going to take? But you got to think, David, at this time I mean, I'm doing all the big sales. I've been there 9.5 years. I probably have a $45,000 salary. I have to travel all the time, all over the country to Europe, North America, just to break 6 figures. But I mean, I do it, but I'm working very hard. I'm gone all the time. And so I'm looking at them. I say, yeah, how much would it take? Well, I know Midland's expensive, but I don't have a clue yet. I mean, I'm still this part of my career. I've never been exposed to cost of this kind of money and nobody wanted to write me a check like this. So I said, I'll come for 150,000. And they said, no problem. I'm like, dang, I went too low. What else do you want? I said, I need a truck. No problem. I need insurance. No problem. I'm going to need a relocation bonus. And I remember they looked at each other and they said, here's how we'll do this. This is fair. I'm going to think of a number on my phone. I'm going to type it in. He's going to think of one on his phone. And we're going to turn it around and see what we say to get you moved. And they had the same number. And so that was my relocation bonus, which put a down payment on a house, got me out of Alabama, South Alabama, moved our kids out. We started in Round Rock, supposed to be in Midland. They called me at the last minute, and I knew things were going wrong. But I was so excited, for one, to go to work for people who I thought were going to mentor me because I told the other gentleman, I don't just want to be an employee. I want to learn what you know. What I'm after is to be mentored, to learn how to think like you, to build something like you have? Oh, yeah, everybody when they want you, no problem. Well, Terry and the other gentleman were partnering at this point. Remember Terry, my mentor? Well, I get the phone call and Terry says, Jeremiah, here's the deal. Business partnerships are very difficult. And I don't think it's going to work out between us, but I think you should take the position. I've already made sure they're going to honor it. If not, you can come work for me, but give it a try. It'll be good for you. So I did. Thought I was moving to Midland, got called off in the last minute to back out of that, moved to Round Rock, Texas, near Taylor, where the headquarters were, and we had a corporate house in Midland. So I would drive from near the Austin area to Midland once, sometimes twice a week, stay out there a lot, empty house on a lot. When we started, I don't even think the dish TV was hooked up. So I had a lot of alone time, a lot of time to think, a lot of time to really just invest myself in this new career. And what I realized was every bit of advice, like, okay, they wanted me for the equipment, but he didn't really respect me at all for any other opinions. And that's okay. Like, I work for you, but I do want to be heard because I care about your company. That's why I'm here. And it became from jet setting, flying me around, talking to me all the time, to I come to work for the guy and I'm ignored. He drives onto the lot on his Mercedes, won't even lift a finger to wave. And okay, I come from nothing, but I'm not here to be disrespected. It's just not who I am. When I know I just moved myself and my family for your company, this is just not what I signed up for. But I did my job. I did well. I mean, if you move to Midland, Texas from anywhere, you're an outsider. And it's a tight knit oil and gas group. It's very hard to get set up with those big operators. You have MSAs, which are master service agreements. You have insurance requirements. And it's a buddy system that's been going back a long time. But I broke through. I sold, did well, got us some good contracts. Was there almost 2 years when another gentleman called me, and this will be another big mistake for me, but this gentleman was, oh, I want to start a company with you. Let's do field tanks, because I had a system that was pretty unique. I can back you. I have the money. Well, I knew the questions to ask, but again, I'm not a businessman. So I took a lot of, there were a lot of warning signs I ran past there and didn't really check up and dig into. So I left this company that I was working with, went with the new guy. All of a sudden, David, paychecks don't come, credit card reimbursement for expenses don't come. And I'm thinking, what's going on? Anybody that can afford this, why is this a problem? And I would get the runaround every time. Oh, it's no big deal. It's just a new company. We're trying to get it set up. I'll have my people handle it. Well, then they catch me up. Okay. Then they catch me up. Then they'd be behind and they catch me up. And it was really frustrating. I go to rent us an office space in Round Rock that I found, check bounces. Well, I signed my name. That I'm not okay with. I signed my name on your behalf too.
Yeah.
Um, and then the gentleman that I started my career with, his wife died suddenly.
Mm.
ER on a Sunday. She's gone on Tuesday, breast cancer. She had apparently had a spot she wouldn't get checked. She was too stubborn, and I did love her. She was so tough. And when I worked with that company, I was actually closer to her than him and had a lot more respect for her than him. She was Italian, very plain spoken, but she cared about people. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm not getting paid regular. I don't really have any money, but I owe this guy the respect of what he gave me in my career. So I use hotel points. I go back to Alabama, where I'm from, just to sit there with him. And I walk in, I just sit there with him. I listen to him. He breaks down a time or two, and there's nothing you can say to that. I'm very sorry. I know you loved her. I did too. You guys were, you were mentors to me. I appreciate what you've done. And I just wanted to be here to show you that I do appreciate it and I care. Well, on the way back, I needed to fill my heartburn medication. I go through a Walgreens, and I don't think they're supposed to tell you this, but the lady comes back on the microphone and says, Sir, I'm sorry I've been on the phone with your insurance, but your employer owes them nearly $20,000. This policy's canceled. So I'm like, oh, great. I moved to Texas. Changed jobs. Now I have an employer who can't pay their health insurance premiums, who has not been paying me consistently. Like, I thought my life was over. I mean, I really did. I thought I'm going to be bankrupt. I'm going to go back to Alabama and look like a joke. and fall flat on my face. So I go back and I had this company I was talking to from the fab sales side that I had kept in contact with that I thought might be a good acquisition for Terry Bailey, my mentor. So I called Terry. Hey, there's this company in Oklahoma. They do this. I think you'd be interested. He said, set up a meeting. I set up a meeting. He says, meet me at the airport in Center. Well, if you know where Center, Texas is, it's deep East Texas. I'm coming from Round Rock. I'm broke. Um, I look at my wife at the time, ex-wife now, and I say, she said, I hate to tell you this, but we have $500 in the bank account. I said, yeah, I can't afford to go. And she honestly thought, she said, I don't think you can afford not to. I said, that's fair. So I get in my truck. It's still dark. It's early in the morning. I pray the whole way. Like, God, what have I done? I'm an idiot. I thought I could do this. I'm out here. I'm about to fail. I failed my family. What am I thinking? Who did I think I was? I get there. We get on this jet. Very nice jet, brand new Embraer. This was a Phenom 600, so it's probably a 12-person jet, not just a small entry level. So really, as broke as I am, facing ruin, I'm on this multi-million-dollar plane with these people. We're flying to Oklahoma to look at a business he can buy with the signing of a check. We evaluate the business. He likes the guy, and he tells me, he says, Jeremiah, I like it. It was a good lead, but these things take a lot of time. So I've got to come in, accountants have to look at it. But if I buy this company, you're getting a percentage of it on my side and the buyer's side. I will take care of you. Don't worry about it. I'm thinking, well, don't worry about it. Fine. But then we fly from Oklahoma to Dallas because he wanted to have lunch at a Mexican restaurant. This is the world I'm in all of a sudden. We land. He said, hey, I'm going to introduce you to some people here that are going to pay for this company if we buy it. I said, huh? He said, yeah, we're going to use somebody else's money. I said, well, okay. I don't know. Why would we do that? He said, well, I've got these partners. They like the way I do these businesses and they're going to want in. Okay. So we go to the Mexican restaurant. Mercedes G-Wagon pulls up. Two sharp dressed men get out. They come in and join us. And Terry says, hey, Jeremiah, tell them what I told you on the way here. And I'm thinking, surely he doesn't want me to say we're going to use their money to buy this company. That would be insane. So I'm kind of silent. He said, I told you we're going to use their money to buy this company. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, the guys worked for Mark Cuban, investing his portfolio. So again, you think about this. I'm broke. I'm facing ruin. I'm sitting here with people who manage billions and multi-millions flying on this jet that costs more than, it probably costs to raise me and house me my entire life.
Yeah.
Easily. And we leave. And I mean, I'm getting down at this point. I'm like, nothing's going to happen fast. This has been surreal, but I'm still broke and I'm still facing ruin. We get back to the airport and Terry walks up to me and he says, hey, Jeremiah, how are you doing? And I do the old Southern Baptist Christian thing. Oh, I'm blessed, blah, blah, blah. And he said, looked at me and he said, don't bullshit me. I said, it's pretty hard right now. He said, yeah, I thought that. And he said, I've been there. Told myself I was going to be a millionaire by 30. But Jeremiah, I didn't know I was going to lose it all by 33. I've had to do this twice. He said, the ranch I showed you last time, I bought it twice. And one thing I tell you is when you come back, you always take care of all the local people that you owed money to. And I've done that. I said, okay, I have to have money to worry about who I owed money to, at that point. And he says, wait right here. His son was going to drop me off my truck. And he comes back and he reaches out and he puts this big stack of cash in my hand. And I look at it. I'm like, well, what are you doing? I can't take this. He said, yes, you can. I've been there. Don't miss house payments. Don't miss car payments. That's hard to come back from. If this is not enough, you let me know. So, I mean, I take that money, I drive home, feel like I won the lottery, but I'm going to make it a month or two. I'm still broke. But it was amazing the way he stepped in right at that last moment. And I mean, he doesn't know me that well. He just handed me that cash. How does he know what I'll do with it? I get back and I pick up some consulting work, which covers me for about 6 months. Well, at that time, I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do? I start looking for a job and I find a position in manufacturing again in East Texas, Kilgore, which is what brought me to Longview. I answer the ad, I get the interview, I drive up, get the job. and moved my family again. Alabama, Round Rock, Longview. And anybody that knows Texas really well knows moving from Alabama to Round Rock is going to be a culture shock. Round Rock is the headquarters of Dell. It's techie. It's high end. It was very nice. We lived well because I was getting paid well. Traveled a lot. My son played a lot of travel ball, so we drove around the area a lot doing baseball and got to explore the area. Well, you come from Round Rock to Longview, and Deep East Texas is it's another world. It may as well be different states, honestly. Everybody's proud to be a Texan, but there are different areas, and they're completely different. Over here, it was a lot more blue collar. You had I call it the lifted truck capital of the world per capita, because when the oil field's good, every oil field kid has a six-figure plus ride. They're running a welding rig, they're out on pipelines. I mean, they got four-wheelers that cost more than trucks. It's just crazy. All the toys going crazy, and then when it booms, it's all for sale,
Yeah.
for cheap, when it busts. So I take this position. The first year goes well. I took this company from $8-9 million to 19 and change, increased profit margins, was able to show a clear path of how we got a hold of cost, helped them understand what labor really cost them, what overhead really cost them, production cost them. They had no clue. Well, when I hired on, the president told me he was the owner. That's fine. Come to find out, he had an investment group behind him, 18 people. So after the first year, I've outperformed every expectation, more than doubled their revenue. We have a good grasp on things. Oil field's going well, so that helps. Obviously, you have to have a good environment. And one of the owners comes in, and he's a high roller, very wealthy, and he sits down with me and he says, Jeremiah, we want to redo your contract. I'm thinking, oh, great. I'm going to get what I deserve. He says, we're going to lower your base, but we're going to raise your bonus. I said, wait a minute. Why would you lower my base? I just crushed every goal you had. Like, I've already proven myself. It's right there. Well, this is going to be better for you. I'm like, it's better for me after I do it again, but I've already done it. And I remember the guy looked at me, David, and he said, if this company doesn't make it, I'll never change the way I live. And here was another example to me in my life of, if you do not value people, I'm not your guy. That was
Yeah.
the most tone deaf thing I've ever heard someone say. It was so ignorant. And the Italians I used to sell for back in Alabama had been calling me for years. Hey, we miss you. We want to start a company with you. Would you be interested? I did not want to, because I didn't want to compete with a guy that trained me in the market. And finally they said, look, we're going somewhere else, either with you or without you, but we're not doing the same thing anymore, and we want you. So, well, let me put a plan together, and let me give you some things I demand if I'm going to do it. I didn't just want to go to work for them or take their money alone, because then I'm an employee. And I love Italians, I love Europeans, but what happens when you're just an employee is you're not going to have the control to do it the way you want to. It's going to be a fight every time, and I wasn't going to do that. So I did bring a partner on here for half the capital, and they put up half the capital, and I got my equity through performance if I met X goals. Well, year one, David, I had a cell phone, a small laptop, and a dusty office upstairs in an old construction company's office, which was in an old house.
And Jeremiah, is this FST or a company prior to FST?
This is FST that we've
Yeah.
started.
Yeah.
I create a good website.
So before we go there, I want to frame for the audience, man. Lots of struggle, lots of, man. How do I find my way? Kind of the classic entrepreneurial journey of like, hey, I see all this wealth. I understand that it's there and available. You learn your way. You get there. You go to FST, you have financial partners, and you start the company. Um, was the company not existing as you started it, or was there something already there?
No, we started from scratch.
All right,
So
that's
I
what I
was working at what's called Surface Equipment Corporation on the manufacturing side, and that's where I did the 2 years. Oil and gas really tanked. So the time I stepped away to do FST, there was no surface equipment anymore. A company that had been solid since the '80s actually went under, and I helped them do some unwinding during that too while I was starting.
Got it.
So in December of 15, we launch. I take I tell both partners, "Look, guys, I gotta have a salary because I got a family, and we gotta be able to eat. I'll take a low one. I understand that really it should be just more risk reward, but I have to have something." And they said, "No problem," you know? Well, then I have this, we'll say at the time, let's say we start the company, I don't know, the agreement was probably 100,000 from each side. But what I learned here was my original partner, when I first came up with the business plan, David, I'm thinking, you got to have a building, you got to have this, you got to have that. So I'm like, it's going to cost us $3 million. This is impossible. And he pulled me back. His name's Mark Miller. He's still a dear friend, a brother, probably my best friend. And you'll understand why that's so important as we keep talking. But he sat me down. He said, Jeremiah, let's really think about this. Do you have to have the building on day one? I guess we should probably sell something first. Do you have to hire this many people on day one? Probably not until we know we have a company. So, it really doesn't cost 3 million, David. It costs 200,000. That's a salary. That's travel for me. And I can get out there for the first year and build us a website
Yeah, and go sell some stuff and build and fund it as we go, right?
and see what I'm made of. But I'm terrified because people putting 200,000 in me, what I don't want to do is let people down. I want to win for you. If you trust me and you're giving me a chance, I want you to think that's the best investment you ever made. So I got this pressure on myself. I'm upstairs in this old office home and, I'm making calls on my cell phone. I've got a nice website. Um, so we look legitimate, but it's me selling a dream. And the end of the first year, I'm thinking, man, what I'm going to fail. Well, I had an opportunity to broker some equipment in Midland because oil and gas was bad. So a company was going under. I flipped 2 units I had sold to another company and made just enough to cover our expenses for the first year. And I'm like, "Oh, thank God. At least I haven't lost their money. At least I can breathe and get us to the next step." Well, year 2, we close in and we start selling our first $1 million plus year of new equipment. And I'll never forget the Italian partner and I are in Quebec City, Canada, having a crown because it's Canadian whiskey just to celebrate. And he says, "How does it feel?" And man, I probably could have cried. I didn't, but all the pressure, I probably could have just broken down right there. And I'm like, man, I don't even know. What it does is it makes me hungrier to go get more. But my gosh, thank God we
Yeah.
got this going. Here we are. And it just jumped from, we make maybe 500,000 in brokerage sales to keep us alive year 1. Year 2, we do well over 1 million. Year 3, we're at 3. We go to 5. We go to 7, 9. We just step up. I'm hiring people, I'm building a team. And by the time we get to year 7, I'd say, I'm thinking, do I really own a business or does a business own me?
Mm.
Because if I die tomorrow, this thing's done. And I've done a disservice to every employee and every partner I have.
So Jeremiah, that's awesome. I'm gonna come back to that. What does the business look like today? So you started from nothing. If I said, what's the business look like today? Employees, revenue, whatever you're willing to share.
Yeah,
What is
we're
that?
we're gonna we're gonna do for the past 2 years, we're 15 to 20 million a year in revenue. We have about a 14-man team now. I've got 2 guys that have been here with me since the very early days. Most of our employees do not leave. I mean, I've had some bad hires I've made that I've had to help leave. But the guys that come here, I mean, man, we just got a loyal team. I've got young guys I started. I think I told you before, I had one of my first employees was working at a trampoline park.
Yeah.
And the owner of the park said, "Look, he's not going to finish university. He needs a mentor and he's a good kid. And I think he could benefit from you." I interviewed him. I hired him. He was doing admin stuff in my office, quotes, learning the business. And one day a mechanic screwed his car up and he got so angry at him that he went home and YouTubed how to fix his own car and he replaced his timing belt and got it running where the mechanic had messed it up. And I said, "Do you really like working with your hands?" He said, "I do." I said, "I'm going to make you a technician and you're going to learn this business that way." So I sent him on the road with my contract technician. Very friendly kid, super good guy. At the time, he's probably 19, 20. Um, Now he's engaged. He's in sales. The guy he can sell 3 to 5 million a year on his own because people like him and he knows the technical side because he spent time on the road doing installs.
So earlier you shared, am I running a business? Is it running me? How do I think about scale? How do I do all this? Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind at that point?
It was running me. And I'm thinking, how do I ever win if this is a one man show? Like, it's got to be bigger than that, you know? And I tell my guys internally, if you walk in our conference room, all of our articles in the Fabricator, FF Journal, different publications, they're up there and there's so many in my face. And I'm like, guys, this has become a vanity wall. I don't want to see my face anymore. I want you writing these editorials. I want you getting these interviews and I want this all replaced.
So I want to interject. This is well described in Three Laws of Performance and Tribal Leadership that some point the leader has an epiphany that we need a noble cause. It can't all be me. I need to have some sort of high performing team to go to the next level. And it sounds like that was kind of your moment. Like, yeah, hey, I need to make this company more about the people and their combined power to be even more successful, and for it not to be all you. Because if something happens to you, then there's no value.
It's
So
absolutely, and it's growth too, because as entrepreneurs, we're micromanagers. We want it our way. And the hardest thing you'll ever do is take your baby and step back and let somebody else do it their way. But you have to. And what you have to get good at is identifying who that is. And you're going to make some mistakes. It's fine. I
for,
tell my guys all the time, I don't mind you screwing up once. I don't want to see the same mistake over and over. That's where we got a problem.
So, from that epiphany to today, how are you now spending your time? What's different?
Now it's more vision. Now I still handle some of our larger accounts because they have a relationship with me. I know their world. I will still handle some of that, but I'm very involved now and we brought our marketing in-house, so it's kind of helping him to posture who we are, who we're continuing to grow into being. I mean, our manufacturing world's changing so fast. I have to manage the European partnerships of our manufacturing vendors. I have to find new vendors at times, come in on high level deals, but ultimately it's really strategy. I mean, I manage my team, look at our sales deals, kind of give them advice where I think I can help, manage our marketing strategy, and make hires.
And Jeremiah, are you doing that on your own? Do you have some outside help for the strategy vision? Is it just you spending time thinking about the business and working on it instead of in it?
Yeah,
How have you approached that?
strategy is still me at this point. The conversations have come. I mean, I've picked people's brain. I will always be that guy. Even when I was a broke wannabe, I would go and I would find these people. If I knew they were an entrepreneur, this is how my mind worked. I would call them or I'd email them, and I got really damn good at emailing, really good, because I knew if it's just some boilerplate crap, it goes to the spam. So I got pretty adept with words. I would email people, entrepreneurs I knew, and I'd ask them for lunch. And man, you'd be surprised. You might get 3 out of 10. And so I started picking brains of people who won somewhere and learning how these people thought. When I moved out here, Laterno University is based in Longview, and that in the manufacturing industry would be R.G. Laterno, who's very famous for big mining equipment, engineering, and it's a Christian polytechnic university. It's basically his endowment back to the industry. Very famous. RG Laterno is very well known. I mean, they have one of only 3 schools in the country that do a mechanical engineering with a materials joining specialty, which is a welding engineer. So their guys go to Tesla, you name it, they're out there. John Deere, Caterpillar, and they have good jobs lined up before they ever graduate. Well, there was a professor there, very famous, Dr. Yanni Adanye. And I wanted to know, I mean, this mind in this welding world, I mean, he's the kind of guy you bring in when you have a lawsuit involving a weld. He's going to be the expert opinion. He's taught there, Romanian, I believe he was. And I sent an email. He said, yes, I want to do lunch with you. So we meet close to my old office. And he says, look, before we go any further, I want to know how you learned to write an email like that. And I said, sir, he said, if all my engineering students could communicate like you do and learn to write an email like that, they would take over the world. He said, "The problem with engineers is we're dry, succinct, and to the point, and we don't communicate like you do. If they had that, nothing could stop them."
Mm. So from a point in which you realize, hey, I need the team to be more powerful, you took this approach, you start bringing people in, you said you've made mistakes. If you look at that whole experience, what's the hardest part of building that high performing team? And how I want you to think about it is, how do I move myself out of the day to day and get a team here that can do it? What's been the hardest part of that?
Well, the hardest part is knowing that somebody's going to treat it like you would. And that people will tell you, entrepreneurs, that nobody will, but that's not true. They're out there. And there are people that will value it just like I was for people. They want to win for you.
Yeah.
That's who they are. I have the first officer in the history of the company is my VP. Well, he's been an entrepreneur. And guess what? He went out there and got his ass kicked. He knows he doesn't want it all on his shoulders. He wants to manage and take care of something existing. And he's fantastic. I mean, he would be fine. If I don't show up tomorrow with him at the helm, this company would be okay. You know, I mean, always with the vision, maybe they change some, but he gets it. He's bought in. Like I said, I made him the first officer in the company, which is not easy to do either. It's something you have to just realize, hey, this is the right guy. We're going to reward him. We take care of him, and he's just a winner. I mean, honestly, our entire team is that way, David. It's just fantastic. You just learn when you're hiring people who to take a chance on.
So clearly you've moved, you have a higher performing team. If I ask you, well, how do you align them? How do you get everybody pulling in the same direction? How do you I talk about the essence of leadership, Jeremiah, is I got to inspire people to believe in something, and then I need to inspire them to take action toward the belief. Um, that's part of it, I think. But for you, how do you get everybody rowing really hard in the same direction?
Well, one, I mean, I'm not sure I'm a good example of it really, but we're very faith based. I mean, I'm a Christian guy. I've seen God walk me through a lot of dark times, right? So I'm very faith focused. The team gets that coming in. Now, we're not going to shove anything down people's throat, but they're going to watch by example. And almost everyone here aligns with that. They understand that. The guys get that it's got to be bigger than us. The customer is the priority, and we're going to treat them like it was our money. If you're putting $1 million systems in a company and they're down, their entire business is at stake. And we're not going to sleep at night knowing we're not going to get up, get to it, and get it fixed. What happens with a lot of European companies is they can sell you equipment, they can't support it. So the minute you're down, you've made this investment, be it a plate roll, be it a laser, be it some kind of welding system, whatever you want to call it, you're down. Well, if your production stopped for a week, it doesn't matter how good the equipment is.
Yeah.
You just stopped your flow. And we don't take that lightly. I mean, my guys will get up. It'll be the middle of the night. We're driving, we're flying, we're getting there, and it's going to be resolved. That's just who we are.
So you're describing the way you want people to act and behave. Have you codified that with written core values? Are those alive and well? Are these Christian values? What's underlying it? Do you have formal core values that describe how you want people to behave?
We do. Well, we kind of play on we're in Texas, right? So we play on the Western theme a lot because we have to stand out. I mean, we're a little company with behemoths. I mean, so you go to FabTech and here we are in this little booth, and these guys have spent millions of dollars and brought teams from all over the world. So we have to stand out. So we have a saloon, and
Mm,
it's very Texas. It stands out. Nobody's ever seen it. It gets a lot of attention, and we do cool stuff. We partner with Garrison Brothers, which is a Texas-based bourbon
yeah,
company.
yeah.
Poncho shirts. I mean, we find other Texas companies, we partner, and they get with us, and we just like we're loyal to them, and they're good to us. Like I got a Poncho shirt on right now. My team wears them. Um, we do the Garrison Brothers. Resistol worked with us some. So we just do things like that to stand out. You got this Texas saloon at this big trade show. Everybody knows Texas. They come by, they want to talk, they all want whiskey, which you can't really serve because it's FabTech, but you got to have a union bartender and 1 million other things. But anyway, it's there. They talk, they like it. So behind that, you have, I'm sure you're familiar, like, I'm a fan of Westerns, like the old movies. I don't really watch a lot of the old black and whites, but I have in my day. There's a cowboy code, right? Lonesome Dove is one of my favorites. The cowboy code, we basically have the FST code. And it's pretty simple. I mean, it's almost biblical because it's basically you're treating others like you want to be treated. You're doing the right thing, even when it's not the easy thing. You're honest. And if you give a man your word, that's it. You're bound. And that's just who we are as a company.
That's
And
awesome.
I can't tell you how many clients I've had where they invest this money in us. And it's clear because look, we import machines from Europe. Technicians aren't free. Mine are theirs. And so I'm like, look, you got a warranty. However, labor is not included. Why? Because in my business, I can sell something in Canada. I can sell something in Washington State. It can be in New York. It can be in Alabama. It can be in Texas. It can be in California. And I can't have you call me for a limit switch. We fly out, push one little button that anybody could have pushed, and you don't even try because, oh, it's under warranty. But you know, the thing is, when something's wrong with our machines, I've never billed for that labor, even if I eat it, because a warranty to me is a warranty.
Yeah, awesome. Um, Jeremiah, when you think about the next stage of growth, the next 3 to 5 years, some period forward, um, what's going to be required to change? How we need to evolve? What will need to be different to get there?
Yeah, we're going to need some more people that are a lot smarter than me, which is not hard to find. But it's a massive shift right now in manufacturing. AI is in the picture. We were already are a company focused on automation, so we take people from manual to semi-automation to automation. So that's really our strong point already. And what we do different is instead of representing one brand, we come in and we marry all the parts you need. So we'll go end to end greenfield design your whole shop. I've been in all shops all over Europe, been in shops all over North America. My VP, Keith, has worked in manufacturing. He's run robotics. So we're very experienced. We know your world. And so these guys, we come in, we help get them into the future. And between COVID and this shift you have in losing a lot of the immigrants and things like that, labor has become so constricted, manual labor in particular in our world, the guys have to move to automation. And it's been great. I mean, more investment in the US, so that gives us more opportunity. And we're behind, we might be a tech company or a tech country. We might lead everybody in apps in California and Silicon Valley, but in manufacturing processes, we are light years behind, say,
Yeah.
Europe and probably China, honestly, except their labor's so cheap.
So if you could change one thing about the business today or your leadership, to get there, like here's the number one thing we need to do. What is it?
The number one thing we need to do is people. People's our biggest challenge. Like, where do you find these people that are going to help you grow and they're going to stay with your values and your mission? And I mean, we've had some hires where people didn't align. It doesn't work. They'll usually weed themselves out pretty well. We've gotten a lot better about that and kind of making sure it's a good fit first, but it's people. I mean, look, we might sell automation to help you reduce your labor dependency, but it's still a problem for us. Like, we are finding the right person.
Awesome. Let's jump ahead. 3 years from now, what does success look like?
You know, I don't know, David. The longer you do this, it's like it's definitely not my name on the wall and there on articles. That gets kind of tired, and it looks like you're just a narcissist trying to have a little playground, and that's not it. I believe in what we do. So success for us would be that my VP continues to rise and becomes that face on the wall, that our company is identified by our employees much more than just me. They don't say, "Oh, FST, well, that's Jeremiah Weekley." I want to, hey, that's FST, that's Ryan McKelvey, that's Keith Jench, that's Hunter Garrison. You know, that's our service manager. That's who they are.
Yeah, awesome. For other leaders who probably haven't had the struggle you've had, what's one thing you've learned that you would want to share, either about the struggle or how you get more from your team? Either one that jumps to mind.
Well, getting more from your team is going to be just simply you're going to lead by example. I mean, Jeremiah will scrub a toilet tomorrow if he needs to. I'll go out there and do things that nobody really wants to do, but if they need to be done, we all do it. It's just who we are here. We're too small for you to say that's not my job. That's one of the first things I'll tell you. If you want to leave FST, say it's not my job.
Yeah.
It's just not who we are. It's never who we'll be. If I ever heard that to a client, and I can't stand that's how we've always done it.
There
And
you
I've
go.
told my clients for a decade now, if you want to stay where you've always been, continue to do things the way they've always been done.
Yeah. Yeah, we talk about it in my work all the time. Like, hey, if you like the results you got, keep doing exactly what you're doing. If you
Absolutely.
want something, if you want something different, do something different. You talked about this willingness to do anything, and it took me back to one of my first companies where we had a core value that we're all willing to sweep floors.
Yes.
And I was the same thing. We were 14 or 15 people, a couple $1,000,000. We grew the thing to 8. And what I meant by that is like literally sweep floors, but also like whatever it is we're willing to do. And when I hired people, I would pull them aside and go, "This is one of our core values, and this is what it means. What it means is you will go sweep floors. You're willing to do whatever." And I go, "If instead you roll your eyes when I ask you to do something, you're not a fit here."
Yeah.
And when you roll your eyes the first time, I'm going to go, "Hey, it seems like you think this is beneath you. Remember when I had the conversation about our core values that we're all willing to do this and pitch in and do whatever it takes? If it continues, you should leave."
Yes. And we're not a daycare. Not only are we not a daycare, but we're also, if you don't want to be here, if you're not passionate about what you do, I don't want you. And I've told people that when it's come to it, hey, I get it. Life gets tough. It gets tiring. You seem like maybe you're in a lull, but you ask yourself, do you want to be here? Because if there's any question in your mind, find something that fits you better. I don't want an unhappy employee. If you're not all in, we don't need you. And if there's something
Um,
I can help you do to transition, I'll do that. You know, and you have to take care of people. Look, I treat people the way I always wanted to be treated. We're a giving company. We have several charities we step behind. We make sure we're involved in the community. All my guys, I mean, you know as well as I do, we're only, say, 14 employees. They all have health insurance, the company pays a portion of. That's pretty rare for a company our size. They all have a 401k company match. That's pretty rare. They have paid vacation, sick time. They have life insurance, time and a half salary. I mean, these are just things, and we do small stuff. Like there's little stuff that a big corporation can't do. Like they're going to get lunch. They're going to go do something fun. They're going to get something special. Oh, and don't even get me started on Christmas time. My wife, who is also an entrepreneur and a business owner and much better one than me, always tells me at Christmas, she's like, "You're crazy. You are crazy." When you do more like that, people expect it. But man, I love giving people the things I dreamed somebody had cared enough to provide for me. I love it.
so that theme, Jeremiah, has been clear in our episode today that you left companies that didn't treat people well. You've built a company in which you're doing it remarkably well. I'm curious if you step back from that a moment and go, where did that come from? Is that just the struggle? Is that just what it is? Is that your Christian faith? What drives this? Man, I want to treat people right.
Well, I think it's definitely faith, right? I mean, to whom much is given, that's part of it. Another thing is I watched my father struggle in a career he loathed. Very intelligent man, was at University at Auburn for forestry, which is what he loved. And when he was going to his senior year, my grandfather, who owned a pulpwood business, died. So my father, who had served in Korea and the army and was going to university on the GI Bill, he goes home and helps his mother not lose the house. Well, at that time, he starts working a job for benefits. This is long term. He gets married, meets my mother. He starts working a job for benefits. It is a very bureaucratic job with a local school board. I could write a book on the corruption that goes on there. I mean, it really opened my eyes to the way people are treated, the politics side of it, just the dishonesty. It's disgusting what happens. I mean, it's a government system, right? We all know this.
Yeah, it
And
is.
so I watched him be so miserable. And my dad, he was devout early on, but he was a turn the other cheek guy. And I think I watched him bottle so much up that I could never be a turn the other cheek guy. I'm not. Like in school, I might get punched in the mouth and come out on the other end, but you know what? We're gonna do it. I wasn't
Yeah.
scared to do it, and we're gonna be best friends at the end of the day. I mean, this is boys in my generation. You beat
Yeah.
the hell out of each other and you're best buds at 5 o'clock. It's fine.
Yeah.
This is what
Yeah.
boys do. This is what men learn when they're younger.
Awesome. Really appreciate it. If listeners want to know and follow more of your journey, where should they go?
So, well, our main company, Fabrication Solutions and Technologies, is www.fststeelfab.com. Me personally, there's jeremiahweekley.com. And no, I'm not that great. It's not a great website per se, but it does talk more about my faith outside of work, some of the things I'm into. I'm an avid hunter. And then I do have a podcast starting hopefully within the next 3 months that'll be The Weekly. I used
Oh,
to do the weekly blog.
yeah, yeah.
God forbid I stay away from politics because it just doesn't make sense anymore. It's too, but we will talk about life. You'll still see me seeking out other entrepreneurs and picking their brain, people that I admire or people that have done something really cool or people that can kill ducks really well. I don't know. It's what I want to do.
Yeah, awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, Jeremiah, thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. Again, clear that you've lived the struggle, come out the other side. Doesn't mean you won't have struggle again, but
Oh, it'll come.
strong faith, other things, and really enjoyed your candor, your transparency, and your story. So, thanks for being on the
Yeah.
thing.
Thank you, David. I really enjoyed it.